Happy Sunday, everybody, from sunny Denver, Colorado. 12 o'clock. Look at the geese. They're taking a nap. It is about maybe 40 degrees out here today, but we have a sunny day, but I see lots of clouds moving in over the mountains west over yonder. Ellie, good morning, good afternoon. So I want to talk about the Denver Fire Department today because some of you might recall this area where the Denver Fire Department showed up back in August to a call for a brush fire, which ultimately ended up being only a minor event of Lee trying to cook some food. Lee tries to survive on his own without anybody's interference, and he asks for nothing ever. And if you'll recall, I had come out here and done a video with Lee, and we talked about me having filed a complaint with the Denver Fire Department on his behalf. He and another lady that were trying to survive out here and eat one night, they had their food destroyed. I ended up going to the fire station. Ended up filing a complaint that got botched, absolutely botched and destroyed by an individual by the name of Kathleen Vredenberg. You saw that video at some point on my channel as well, as she's talking about, being a strong woman in firefighting. Pretty sure she's never even been a firefighter. So anyway, fast forward, long story short, I'm here today to find Lee because the Denver Fire Department knows that I'm not going away on the issue, and so they've decided to reopen the complaint. So, in order to reopen the complaint and investigate it properly, they would need to interview Lee, wouldn't they? Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do from the beginning. Yeah, I'm pretty certain this isn't Lee. But we need to give them the chance to do the right thing because the complaint is actually being investigated by a different set of personnel, let's just say, outside of internal affairs. Because my ultimate complaint ended up being about internal affairs being corrupt. So now I've got a series of complaints. It's about 3 of them with the Denver Fire Department. And they have a problem handling complaints because they don't have a thorough process. Because they have archaic policy. They have massive change in leadership every couple years or less. Probably about every 6 months from what I'm learning. And nobody knows what's going on. I say their leadership is piss poor. I'm sorry, it just is. And that starts at the top with the appointment of the fire chief by the mayor of Denver, who sucks at everything anyway. So it's hard to ever have any faith in anyone that's ever been appointed by Hancock because he's an imbecile. The guy is not a good person, okay? So that shit trickles down. We know that. That could possibly be Lee over there. It's nice out here though, isn't it? Jack, how are you? Hey, Mike. Jody. Rohika, hey. So, this is hard to get to out here because of the access. I try not to make it dangerous for myself by stopping literally on the highway over there to get to that side of the creek. So I'm certain that if Lee were there, I would see his bike and bike cart, and it's not reminiscent of a Lee setup. Anyway, guys, we have been brutally cold, and I have been sick. I've been down with a virus of whatever nature that's caught up with me, but I'm fine. I'm recovering. And then I was gone for a while, and I've just not been able to be out here during these super cold snaps, except for going out to film the cops the other night and do some community service yesterday. It's been a hit and miss few weeks for me. Just looking at the wind flapping that tarp down there. Dandy Dan, how are you? So I'm on a mission to find Lee. For those of you that remember that story, Denver fire shut up back here in August and destroyed his food. And we were working through the complaint just fine until somebody decided to go super corrupt and not let me follow through in bringing Lee to the fire station so we could work through the issues. Good evening from Scotland. It's a good high noon here in Colorado from the US. It's about 40 degrees. My hands are already cold. So, as some of you know, this is the Bear Creek Trail. For those of you that are local, it's 285 in Knox, Hampton and Knox. It's pretty common for them to camp along here and be out of sight. CDOT did come through and sweep them. I do have to agree to the point of it being incredibly dangerous right here in this stretch when the snow plows come through. So some of what I can say I support for CDOT moving people is legitimate, because those snow plows, they come hauling, and that snow goes flying right over that guardrail, and it could potentially bury someone. And there's drainage in here that sometimes they like to poke back in, hide in. It's not safe. It's just not. But I'm just gonna walk a short distance to see if there's any more sign of Lee, because the Denver Fire Department has decided to reopen that investigation after they botched it entirely and couldn't get a grip on investigating any complaint. We'll see if they pull it together. Yeah, these people aren't getting housed. It's affordable housing and shelter system here. It's a crock. It's a lie. Yeah, there's nobody else down there. So what this means is I have to continue to try to find Lee today. So if any of my friends out there with phones that are watching, living outdoors, if you know where he's at, I would really appreciate knowing. I'll eventually locate him, I suspect, by the end of the day, but it's been brutal. We've had some brutal weather. some days are no fun for live streams, huh? But that's good. Because fun on YouTube means somebody's suffering. There's not much credence given to just conversation and relaxation. But that's important to me. Today I'm gonna continue to work on helping another woman who's completing her community service. So she's doing community service work today for the nonprofit. I've known her for a couple years out here. Her story is very compelling. She's also gonna do a little video for me as a first introduction. Her name is Katie. I think everyone will be interested to really understand at least a little bit about where she came from, how she ended up out here, and how she's off the streets. We've had some pretty good success going on. It's winter. People start feeling the harshness of being out here. Got another individual that's committed to another program. That all took place yesterday, just with some outreach. Yeah, thanks, Dandy Dan. I appreciate that. You love my heart. Everyone else needs to have a little bit bigger heart. If everybody would just do a little bit, it would be way different. But no, we sit back from the comfort of our own homes and computers and judge and make assumptions and exclaim, "Not in my backyard. No way, no how." Well, it's in your backyard. You're just denying it. Because homelessness is going to be this nation's new pandemic. It pretty much already is. We're just not acknowledging it. So, those of you that think you own the public street, you're just going to have to learn to share. So, was anybody following that video the other night I did with the cops showing up in the middle of the snowstorm? This would be a good time to do a little update on that. What did the fire department do now? Let me do a little bit of an update. Hey, David. Because I'm headed back to my car. I'm done here at this particular location. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about that, Danny Dan. You were watching that? Good. I'm glad you watched that. So I came out here to look for Lee. Those of you who have been following that story from clear back in August, the fire department showed up here in this area on a brush call, a brush fire during rush hour. So the fire department wasn't happy because they had to get in full gear and come out here in rush hour to learn that it was a cooking fire. And my friend Lee, who lives homeless out here, super great guy. Can't say enough good about him. He's the kind of guy you'd want to wrap around with some support. Probably will never get housed, but nonetheless, a really good soul. Hey, listener. And they destroyed his food. So I filed a complaint on his behalf because of the barriers in communication and transportation. And the fire department just completely botched it. So I, surprisingly, have not let that go. And it turns out I've got a new set of complaints that the fire department just can't get a grasp. They got their own administration problems because they got too much administration that's not doing what they should be doing on a consistent basis and paying attention to their policy. And the people that they're putting in positions that are corrupt, like women in internal affairs, have a problem with men and want to destroy their careers. So anyway, I've not let that go. I've been fighting that behind the scenes. And Denver Fire has realized that I'm not going to go away. And it is in their best PR interest that they address this. So they have done a very good thing. And they've reopened the complaint and assigned someone who I have respect for, because I've worked with him before. Incredibly professional, detailed. I may not agree with his findings, but that's okay. We're going to get there honestly, not deceptively. He's been assigned to investigate this complaint. So I am doing my best to cooperate and help finally so they can actually talk to him like they should have in the beginning. Can you believe that an internal affairs department did a thorough investigation without talking to me or Lee and came to the conclusion that the fire department had done nothing wrong, and then they disciplined the only employee at the fire department that tried to help. And that's Mark Rudolph, that we get to have out here helping us with fire safety, because he's from fire prevention, not from the life destruction department. So he got punished for meeting me over at the fire station. Really? Turns out he's the only one that got punished, not all the people that lied. And go figure, the woman firefighter that put Lee's fire out, she was the one that wanted to make it right. She assumed no responsibility, but she really wanted to, well, at least she told me to my face in front of her chief that she wanted to make the situation right. I was all for it. We were going to meet at the fire department. They were going to let Lee and I have a tour of the firehouse, and we were going to go on our way. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call from the shift commander of the day for the Denver Fire Department a day before we were supposed to go, telling me, don't you dare show up at that firehouse. Oh, really? Why not? Because we don't know that man's COVID status. Yeah. This piece of shit by the name Bob Kamak of the Denver Fire Department had the audacity to get involved. First of all, gee, who called Bob to tell Bob to call Regan and tell her, how don't you dare show up? I mean, who did that? So this asshole calls me and tells me, don't I dare take my homeless friend over to the fire station because they don't know his COVID status. You think I'm going to let that one go? I'm going to double down. So they have had more than enough time. This took place back in August. Hey, everybody. Chillin'. You be chillin'. Mrs. You be chillin'. I love it. Angel. Hey. So I have been fighting that behind the scenes. And so I'm going to give this other assistant chief or chief, whatever he is. I can't even keep up with these guys. They're changing positions and duties, and I mean that Denver Fire Department, I gotta tell you, I have never been more confused with a government structure of any entity. I can usually pin it down and understand it after it'll take me a few months, but that place, holy shit, it's an administrative nightmare. Everybody's worried about getting a promotion. It seems like there's more lieutenants, captains, chiefs, assistant chiefs, and then I'm missing someone in there. Yeah, you can't keep up. And then the firefighters, or the people that do the work on the street, well, they're just expendable. They're just, a workforce. I cannot imagine how many hardworking firefighters that just want to be firefighters and be on the street, help people, be involved in the daily activities of saving lives. I can't imagine how many of them are getting screwed through the Denver Fire Department. I'm sure the pay is, exciting, or whatever the right word is. the pay and benefits, but I'll tell you what, they do not like to highlight good firefighters in that fire department. I even wrote a commendation for Mark Rudolph out here, and they flat out told me that they refused to give it to him. I heard that from the assistant deputy chief of the Denver Fire Department. They refused to give it to him because they were in the middle of actively investigating him for this shit. For meeting me at Station 36 and introducing me to the staff, to the firefighters over at Station 36. And guess what? This gets even better. That woman firefighter that put the food out, yeah, the bad one, they do. They just do, because if you pass a test, it's who you know or blow, and bottom line. So that woman firefighter who admitted that she wanted to make it right, she's since retired. Since August. Yeah. And for somebody who claimed that they wanted to make it right, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt while she's employed here. I shouldn't, because it has to do with integrity, morale, and moral character. She should have followed through on making right what she said she was going to do for Lee. She wanted to buy him a nice propane legal cooking grill and give him a gift certificate to King Soopers. She should have done that, since she's since retired. And she didn't. And she hasn't. So what that tells me, she was never sincere to begin with. And that she likely lied. She said she didn't do it. She said she didn't destroy his food. But she just felt bad, wanted to make it right, was concerned about Lee getting mad at her that day. Lee, yeah, she retired, Ellie. Lieutenant Katie Hawes retired. Go to the Denver Fire Department Facebook page and scroll back about a month or so, and you'll see it on there. She retired. And, they highlighted it on their Facebook page. Their damn department, the chief of the department, is there giving her awards, flags, blah, 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 all this. Meanwhile, she doesn't even face any scrutiny for what she did to Lee because she never got investigated. She never got interviewed by IA. Either did Chief Borelli, the chief that sat right next to her and told her, oh, just take it out of petty cash. Just take it out of petty cash and give him cash. I said, no, I don't want you guys to give him cash. It would be nice if you reimbursed him for the food. And she agreed to do it. Whether she was going to do it on her own, I don't know. I don't care. It would have kept relationships healthy. And then somebody got a hair up their ass and decided to interfere in the whole process. And then that Kathleen Vredenberg did her investigation and sent me an email and told me that the investigation was complete and that they did nothing wrong. I don't know if they thought they were dealing with a complete imbecile or someone who is out in the general public to let them get away with what they've been getting away with for probably a very long time, doing things like this to people. So masks carry. Why are we talking about masks? Oh, what, the COVID stuff? Or knowing his COVID status? I don't give a shit, because here's the bottom line. That very next week, the Denver Fire Department was advertising a spaghetti community feed at one of their stations in the middle of the city. And they were not saying that no one could come there, that you had to wear masks, that you had to have your vaccine card. I don't give a shit what was going on with his COVID status mask, but whatever. I don't care, because when I went over there to Station 36, nobody was wearing masks. They invited me inside to sit down at their table where they gather for meals. I don't give a shit. But how dare them? This Bob Kamak that called me on the phone Tell me, don't you bring that man to our firehouse because we don't know his COVID status? Well, what's your STD status, you piece of shit? Sorry. Please. I don't know whoever thought that that was just going to go away and get brushed under the rug. Ugh. So, here we are, February. It's February, and we're still dealing with this complaint on top of, you guys saw that video when I went down to internal affairs? When the guy with the gun showed up at the door? Yeah, well, I've already gotten a verbal apology for that behavior. So, not from him, of course. Not from him, of course. But I'm telling you, these entities that are getting caught up in things like this right now, it's because they've been doing it this way the whole time. And it needs to change. So, personally, I think leadership in the entire city needs to change. Hancock needs to go. Hancock appoints police chief, fire chief, blah, blah. Hancock is wholly worthless. And this guy keeps getting reelected. I mean, he's no different than across the entire country. Sex scandals, won't answer to wasteful spending, the homeless budget, the housing and sustainability of Denver, and the hundreds of millions of dollars that is supposed to go into solving homelessness. Stop. Just stop. You know, that leadership just rolls downhill. So that's why we're here today. Ultimately, because Hancock is an idiot. I mean, seriously. So I'm not going to let these guys get away with it. They know they're not going to get away with it. There are good employees in the fire department that want to do their job, but are strangled by this me, how to promote me next mentality in that fire department. It is way worse than the Denver Police Department. They do promotions crazy over there. They have so many people in positions that they shouldn't be in. I mean, I'm not in fire service. I'm not going to say I know how to fight fire and that I could keep up with my fellow man out here on the street. That's not me. But when it comes to administration, you guys probably better find some women, because you don't have the organizational skills. That's just a suggestion. So maybe there is a female employee within that fire department that really should be the fire chief. One of them that shows up to work on a daily basis, that knows what's going on the sidewalk of where homeless people sleep or try to survive, all the way up to your policies of how you're handling internal affairs complaints. That means you go to work every day and you talk to your people. This fire chief, he doesn't do that. It's obvious. Yeah. So that's where we're at. Where's everybody else at today? The guy at the fire department? Yeah, Bob, he was one weird dude. I saw you commented on that video. He just kind of lost his shit, right? Very concerning that he's post-certified carrying that gun. I've had a couple conversations with the deputy chief of the fire department on that. He couldn't answer my questions. He doesn't know. He doesn't know why they get to carry their weapons like Kathleen Vredenberg, this woman who did this investigation on this complaint. She's sworn. She is a sworn peace officer in the state of Colorado. She's post-certified. Why is she carrying a gun? Well, the answer was because she was an arson investigator. Well, if she's not still an arson investigator, the Denver Fire Department needs to take that post-certification off of her plate of duties. She doesn't need to carry a gun anymore. The fact that she is even carrying a gun to begin with, she was a cop. is what it was. They go through cop school to be arson investigators because they serve warrants or whatever. Why the fire department would even need to serve a warrant when they've got SWAT and they've got every state, local, federal level of enforcement that they would need to serve those warrants. So that was a learning curve for me, understanding that. And there's still no clarity on that as to why there are people in the fire department carrying weapons that can't even answer the door correctly. Yeah, Bob, so you're right about that guy. It was weird. It was incredibly weird. Yeah, promotions used to be based on performance. Now it's based on whose poop is on whose nose. Yeah, they say, they have to take a civil service test. Gee, who grades those tests? Your kindergartner? Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And there are good people in that fire department. And my good friend Bob Lau, if you're on here from Florida, Bob, I don't see you today. Bob Lau is a retired firefighter, and we talk on occasion about that's really not the norm to expect that out of the fire department. And I've never thought that either. But Denver Fire has administration problems, and that's why they have these issues. So I don't think in general, no, they get complaints like a police department, like the Denver Police Department with use of force, because the majority of the time they're spending their time, effort, resources saving lives. And they're supposed to be preventing some of these issues that are occurring out here. And it's kind of a rough go. So I would like to maintain a good relationship with the fire department. I would like the homeless to understand that I think we have some allies in those that want to allow us to survive and aren't interested in use of force in sweeps and other activity that desecrates life and makes it harder. So that's why I have been so patient with the Denver Fire Department, but my patience is running out. But I have to let this process play out. And so I'm going to continue on. I'm going to try to go find Lee. That's why I'm here. Oh, Dandy Dan, if you're still in here, I'm supposed to update about what took place the other night after the after the cops showed up in the middle of the night in a snowstorm. Well, turns out, as you saw, this was a bogus bullshit move by the Parks Department with what I would say cooperation with the night crew at the Denver Police Department to try to have them move or get them towed or whatever. Now the Parks Department has come out and put notices on all of those campers. And it's a warning. And they're supposed to check the little check box on the crime that's being committed per municipal code of the Denver Parks Department. And not one of those boxes is checked. And then in the notes section, it's written, no overnight parking. Move or will be towed. So they put all those out yesterday. So we shall see what is going to happen there. Instead of Denver trying to work with them on safety issues, they're just going to waste time doing stupid shit like this. So they're going to continue to get the response that they're getting. They can't tow anybody's home or vehicle that they're living in without a warrant. So good luck, Parks Department. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some shady backdoor shit going on between the parks and the city attorney. I can't imagine Denver's city attorney going, oh yeah, go out there in the middle of the night and tow it all. Take it all to impound where we don't have any space. Oh, and if there's people in those vehicles or campers, don't bother looking. Just leave them in there and tow them to the tow yard. Yeah. So ultimately, my gut tells me that this is just another stupid move by the Parks Department trying to screw with the homeless. And instead of trying to work through the trash or the safety issues or the parking issues, this is how they're doing it. So it's not going to work out very well. Yeah, it is. Like a bad horror movie. Could you imagine if there were absolutely no one was paying attention to anything out here? Since when does the Parks Department control what goes on city streets? Thank you. They don't. They don't. But if they can get the cops to partner up with them and nobody's watching, I don't know what they're thinking. They know there's activists everywhere. They should be trying to work with us, but they don't. This is what they do. They want use of force and use of force only. We've had many documented successes where I've managed areas. We've kept the trash under control. We've educated people about fire prevention, about things they should and shouldn't be doing, because the city has no answers for where these people are supposed to live and survive. And I sure as hell ain't gonna tell them to, oh, you know what, you need to get out of that camper and go climb up a tree and try to survive. I mean, what the fuck are they thinking? And the harsher they become towards these people, the more animosity created. I mean, this is a street war out here. Who's going to jail next? Because that's what they're threatening. You're going to do it or we're going to take your shit. Really? It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So all I can do is show up, scream and yell, point out where they're wrong, where they're going to get sued, where they're going to kill people, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. You are a special kind of fuck up, evil, to go out there and think what you're doing is any kind of right for anyone. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it because I can't wrap my head around it. So thanks, what's up? I appreciate that. Yeah, just basic human rights. I mean, who the fuck are you? Is really the question. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. But I am going to drive by there at some point today and see how it's going. But that's the Sunday talk. And the main mission today are my two people, Katie and Lee. Katie finishing her community service, me locating Lee so we can go out to lunch and go to this meeting and see what's going to come out of it from the investigation that they're reopening. They need to apologize to Lee. Lee knows what they said about him. He knows how they treated him. They need to apologize for what they did, at the very least. And if that Lieutenant Katie Haas has any fortitude behind her words, she's going to show up and do the right thing too. I doubt it. I'm calling cowardice right there. And she was fully supported in it. So thank you for being the person you are. Well, you don't have to thank me. I think it's the kind of person that everyone should be. It's not worthy of praise. The time it takes, I guess, in this climate and culture of our civilization is worth a thank you. I really do appreciate that. But to thank me for being a good person, thank you, but it's not necessary. It's just not. May God be with you all. My prayers go with you. Thank you. That is appreciated and it's needed, because there are a lot of situations out here that could not happen if it wasn't for divine intervention. So I'm just going to close with that because I have to go. I hope everybody has a very wonderful day today. I hope you find just one simple way to be kind to another person this coming week. Not judge so harshly, and take some time to understand. That would make a really great week before Valentine's. And then let's show some more love on Valentine's Day, because it's not just about romance. Okay? So thank you, everyone. Ellie, thank you for everything you're doing. All my mods, I really appreciate it. I'm off, and wish me luck in finding Lee today so we can get some resolve on this. Bye, guys.